$74 is found shoved in the back of her desk the other day. School calls, and I'm like, okay, here we go. I always worried, like, what bone was broken, what happened. No, they're just calling to say $74 was found. And I'm like, hey, Rowan, come here. I'm like, kiddo, what's up with the $74? She goes, don't worry about it, Mama. I got it under control. And I said, hold on. You got what under control? And she goes, everything, and walks away.
Today we have Amelia Taylor. Amelia is the founder of the Revenue Table, and she works with people who are trying to do revenue and relationships, and is also looking to support other teams that have that as a focus: community, revenue, and relationships. I'm so glad you're here, Amelia. We were talking before I hit record, and I think we're going to get into some really cool stuff. But please, kind of anything else you want to add to that as far as like clarity and like who you work with, or like even who's not a great fit, because this is one of the things that you have to uncover all on this path as well.
Oh my gosh. Well, one, I'm super excited to be here. I remember when you and I met at SaaStr 2 years ago, and it was like, we should be friends, like right off the bat. Because it was like, we've got things to say, we've got stories to tell. And so to find ourselves back 2 years later now, talking about the 2.5, maybe talking about things that are, then I didn't know were such learning years for me. And looking back now saying, whoa, I did not realize that what I was doing, those were just straight up learning years of like what not to do, and knowing like what not to do and what doesn't work, and knowing who you are not goes hand in hand with like knowing what works, what doesn't work, like, and who you are, like knowing those two things, like you have to know. And that's the awareness part. But me realizing and looking back thinking, I didn't know what I knew then that I know now that's made me who I am today, and venturing out, creating something on my own with working with companies where, within communities that I find where I'm the most, where, profits come the most through specific communities, and saying, how can I help serve you best based off what you're saying? It looks as though, being able to talk to executives in a way, that was something I didn't realize I was doing flawlessly, that I learned about myself of, I could do that because I didn't know what I was doing. When it's like you don't know enough about what you're doing, sometimes you're really great at it because you're like, I'm just going to lead with EQ. It's like, wow, we've gone full circle. That's how things should be today with everyone. I'm such a firm believer, and I'm stuck with that. So knowing that my IQ, is it fine? Sure. I'm not going to say it's not there. Like, it's there. But am I tech savvy? Am I this SE? Am I this product expert? No. So do I know the right people to pull in for things? That's the EQ led, right? It's like being able to know when to pull certain people in, and knowing that through different companies I've been a part of, I've gotten to know certain people who I'm like, you are an expert in this. I'm going to call you, like, if I'm working with specific companies, here's kind of a powerhouse of people that I could recommend. But here's specifically for RevOps, right? Like, here's 3 people that I would say that I would trust totally to help you with this. So knowing that you can't help everyone is something I've learned over the years. And if you don't get granular with what it is that you're doing and what you help solve for, thinking I can do this, you're literally helping no one. And that's been said a million times over again but when you look at things and you think, okay, but I have to get things done, I don't have a choice. Right? So certain people don't have a choice but to do. They didn't have daddy's money. They didn't get their trust fund, right? Like all these things. They had kids. There's things like that. Like I'm a single mommy of 2 little girls, 7 and 9. And my 7-year-old is literally giving me hell and then some every single day. I love her more than anything. But the kid is such a little hustler. So she's been slinging snacks in the playground. Story time real quick. The playground. $74 is found shoved in the back of her desk the other day. School calls, and I'm like, okay, here we go. I always worried, like, what bone was broken, what happened. No, they're just calling to say $74 was found. And I'm like, hey, Rowan, come here. I'm like, kiddo, what's up with the $74? She goes, don't worry about it, Mama. I got it under control. And I said, hold on. You got what under control? And she goes, everything, and walks away. I wish I felt that way in life. And I was like, hold on, wait, humble yourself first, sit your butt down second, and third, where did it come from? So she goes,
Mm-hmm.
there's some kids she's going into this whole like pitch to me. And I'm like, get to the point. Tell me where it came from. She goes, I was slinging snacks. And I said, slinging snacks. And it was amazing the way that she was trying to tell me how it was helping other kids who did not have snacks by, I'm like, no, you're just getting their money. So she's trying to do this whole thing. And I'm like, you don't know enough to be able to be telling me these things, but you are learning through what you're learning sales 101 because you're like, your margins are great. You're getting people to give you stuff. Also, it's $2 to $5 depending on if it's like gummies or like granola bar. And so she's telling me this whole method behind her madness. So I told the school, I'm like, can't be mad at the entrepreneurship, or that spirit. Also, she doesn't know what she doesn't know. And in her mind, this is a really great thing. So, like, I don't want to discount this creativity. Also, let's give the money back. So, that's her kind of pioneering, forging her own path in second grade, for example. But me this goes into me having like my first SDR gig. It's me, like, whoa, I've got 2 kids to feed and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to just kind of figure out how to lead with like what I think makes the most sense, the EQ of things, and also look what other people are doing, maybe not do what they're doing and try something that works best for me. Not everyone thinks that way though, right? So it's like, not everyone's going to think the same way that you think when it comes to, I'm going to go and do my own thing and forge my own path and pioneer this. Like, I do that naturally, and I've always challenged everything that has shown up. I'm like, no, what about this? Even if I shouldn't, why? I don't know. Sometimes it's just a power move of mine, I suppose, but showing up in my kid too now. But I know that there's people who also are very much so, I follow the leaders that are telling me what to do. I'm a rule follower. Rules are not meant to be broken, whereas I'm like, break them all and see what happens. And like, who's going to stop you? Let's see. So going to my first SDR gig, I'm looking and thinking, there's a bridge or there's a roof over my kids' heads. That's an action I got to take, right? I'm choosing all day not to be under a bridge with 2 little girls, and they're going to know what hard work looks like. Hell or high water, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to figure it out. So I didn't know what the acronym SDR meant when I joined this first company that I was a part of. I didn't know. So I'm interviewing and they keep saying SDR. No one said sales development representative one time. So I'm like, I still have no idea. Like, I guess I didn't know. So I'm like, I'm a hired SDR. I don't know what the hell I'm about to do. And I'm looking at everyone, what they're doing. I'm listening to certain things. I'm like, why is no one asking for feedback when they're not getting these meetings booked? I'm like, I'm going to start doing that. I started working like in a heartbeat, and I didn't have anything to lose but to try. So when you look at life, it's like, what do you have to lose? A lot when you've got more responsibility on your plate. Also a lot when you just simply need to live and have a job and have a good pedigree that shows that you are a capable working human. Like you can keep a job. Like you're a capable human of being able to do simple or hard things. Like you're competent. So it doesn't matter, parent, not you need to prove that you can do things, whether you know what an SDR means or not. Like all that said.
So there's a lot in there that I want to kind of crack into and hopefully we can dive into, right? Because you said some things in there that if you're new to these roles, some of this stuff might be new to you, right? So you mentioned EQ, and that's different than IQ, right? When you were new and you were kind of leaning into your natural personality, right? Because you're warm and obviously have higher EQ. Did you know you were leaning into that, or was it just kind of, this is the thing that makes sense for me? Did you have a label for it, or was it just try and figure it out?
It was just try and fall down and figure out what works and what doesn't. So it was, I mean, I'm a big time writer. I love to write. So I've got notebooks full from like 8th grade on of just writing, just how life is, what things are going on in my world and all that. And so
Mm-hmm.
I would write things that were working and not working because I wanted to be the best at what I was doing. I'm so competitive too. There was like, if you're in sales in some degree, you've got to have some kind of like one competitive nature or chip on your shoulder, one of the two.
Yeah,
Like
one of the two is the important thing to put there because some people think it's the same and it's not the same thing.
no. And I had both. And so I was like, okay, I've got too many chips on my shoulders and I'm not happy with the world right now. And I'm going to prove to all of y'all that I can do better than you because I am way more savvy. And I thought all these things. I'm literally was like, I'm this. And then I come to learn, I'm like, no, I'm not. Like this person's doing really great. So I would try what they were doing. So this one guy would always say, may I make a suggestion? I tried it. I couldn't even come out with a suggestion was like not a word that flowed naturally. So I was like, yeah, we're going to nix that. And things like that, when you try, you're just learning what works and what doesn't work. But if you don't try, literally, you're looking at the face of action saying, I'm going to choose an action. And that's an action in and of itself. I'm going to choose action. Yep. That's an action. So like, what is the action that you're going to take? Do you want a better life? Do you want to be mediocre? Like, that's a choice. Do you want to be stagnant? Yeah. Cool. That's your choice. That's an action to make because you're choosing not to take action by being better. So I would ask for feedback, like I said, to some of these like VPs of sales so I was calling on behalf of T-Mobile Enterprise for business. And so I ended up, fast forward a bit, I ended up winning this massive TV at one point where I had to crawl out of my window of my apartment because I could not get the Amazon man who does this, put it right upwards outside of my door. Could not get around because I'm in this tiny apartment when I first moved to Tampa. Me and two little girls. We had to crawl out the window so I could get this TV inside. No idea. I got an award from all of the regional like directors for T-Mobile Enterprise because they did so well by not knowing everything that I needed to know, and then getting really close to AEs by saying, I don't know this. How do I address this? Then I asked them, can we jump on your calls with you to learn how to? So I was challenging myself to learn without really, it was very subconscious because I knew that there was a goal that had to be met. Also a goal against myself that I wanted to exceed. And there were, by happenstance, like kids to be fed too, right? So it's like I had to do certain things. Like I didn't have a choice.
Can you think of anything in those early days, right? Because I think it's sometimes hard to like put your hand up and ask these questions, right? Ask for help, ask for feedback, right? And I'm curious, do you think that it was easier for you because of the culture that you were in? Or is that just something that like She's going to go ask for help and ask questions and try to figure it out? Like, do you think it was you, or do you think it was the culture that you were working in those early days?
Pride and ego have never been a thing in my world. And at that point too, those were so far and detached from anything. It was like, I am everything but prideful and egotistical, like everything but that. It was like, I've got to take action. Like that's where my mind was. It was more of a humble place in life of like, I'm pretty low on the ground right now. Like I can't go much lower. Like I got to go up from here. What does up look like? So raising my hand it wasn't natural because it is. To me, because I'm a people person, that's who I am, but also I'm one that's like, I'll figure it out on my own too. So it was a little bit strange how I innately just did that. But normally looking, throughout my life, I got it, I'll figure it out on my own. But I think it also was just this time in my life where it was, I have got to learn from people who are doing things right and well and best if I even want to do anything good at all. And
absolutely.
Forward, I put a cap on everyone's commission during my ramp. They called me in. They said, we got to either keep the lights on or we got to pay you, or we put a cap on everyone's commission. And I was like, okay, let's do all three. And so people were like, great, Amelia. So that was something I had to prove to myself that I was worth something. So like worth is a big
thing. Interesting.
So knowing what, that becomes a big factor in this whole sales world. And I think just in this life in general. It's like, what is my worth? What am I worth to these people? And when you fail or you fall down and you think, I'm crazy hard on myself, way too hard on myself. And I think that comes from childhood on. I think a lot of things come from childhood on, right? But
yeah, absolutely agreed.
It's knowing that, like, if I chose, because everything's a choice in life. When you think of life as such a choice, everything is a choice, and betterment's a choice. And so if I looked at things and I said, if I don't try and just like do everything and then some past these people, then I don't have, like, what did I prove to myself that I was doing really good? Like, I needed to prove to myself, like, no, you're worth something. Like, you made it, you did something. You don't know what SDR means, but you did it. Like, you did the SDR. Like, that was something I needed to feel in order to feel like I accomplished what I didn't know I could do. So knowing, like, hey, let me push things that, like, let me push the boundaries a bit of what I don't know. Let me go outside of my box of knowledge. Let me lead with EQ, not subconsciously doing so, and just communicate with people and see what happens from there. It was like, okay, Pandora's box kind of open in a sense of like, hey, here's some really great relationships that you can build from this. And then I learned from there, I'm like, whoa, it's people. It is all about people. And that was like first SDR gig. It's like people first. Whoa, that's what matters, is putting people in the forefront because you're helping them. And I didn't realize doing all that. But when I started like really focusing on that, and people noticed that, and they were like, thank you for like asking that question. I'm like really quickly writing that question down. I'm like, what did I even write? Like, I don't know if that's what I asked.
What did I even ask? Yeah.
You're so welcome. You know, I just want to help. But you just learn by doing it. And it's hard to do when you don't know what to do. Like, what do you do?
That's the reason why this show exists is because none of these roles are as deterministic as people want to make them out to be, especially if they have not done it, but they're hiring you to do it. It's never A plus B equals 100% of C, right? It's like a percentage of A plus a percentage of B equals a very small percentage of C. And now go do it a lot until you can figure out how to like improve those percentages. But like, there's no one there telling you really what to do or how to do, because most training is like checking of the box, right? Yeah. And I remember I'm not naturally I'm a very strategic person, right? I don't really always have like a whole lot of room for empathy and slowing down and paying attention to the small details, right? I'm always like, let's get it done and let's find some improvement. And I remember one time I was having a conversation, and I was very early on, I was doing websites, and like I had one question that like more or less got everyone moving in my direction, right? And so, you know, I'm doing the other stuff, I'm doing the thing my coaches and my mentors are telling me to do and everything, but I know that I've got this question in my back pocket, right? That works majority of the time. How hard is it for you to like add content to your website? Oh, it's so hard. Oh, okay, cool, right? And then I got them after that. And so I asked this question, and the person was like, you know, it's not great, but it's really just not our focus. And the way that they answered that question just kind of like blew me out of my body for a moment, because I was like, oh my God, I'm only really excited about these conversations when they need my help. Mm-hmm. And if they don't need my help, I kind of like just opt out almost, you know? And I was like, whoa, like, I don't want to spend the rest of my professional career only getting excited whenever someone is in a bad, rough spot and they're needing help, because that means that everyone who is fine, I can't generate any kind of positive feeling for. So then I go back to my coach like the next week, and I was like, because it was a group class, and I was like, guys, what if we care? Right? and like the entire class is like, whoa, just like snapping their head back to look at me. And I'm like, no, but like, seriously, like I call this my Jerry Maguire moment. And I'm like, no, but like, seriously, like what if it's okay if they don't need our help, right? And everyone's like, you don't like money anymore? You know, and my coach, he was up in the front of the room, and he's like looking at me. He's giving me the eye that I get in lots of situations of like, don't talk about that here, you know, like later kind of deal.
Yeah. Oh, I know that one all too well.
And it wasn't until later, you know, like class ends, and I'm so confused. I'm like scratching my head. I'm like, because this feels like this feels good. This doesn't feel like bad, turning ourselves dense and stupid to try to like force deals. And like, this feels better. And he goes, they're not ready to hear that stuff, man. Like, you weren't even ready to hear this stuff for like the entire 2 years that I've been coaching you up until this point. But like, welcome to the party.
Well,
Right. And I was like,
your initiation, you're in now. You understand that caring and helping means sales. You're in. Like,
absolutely.
It's wild how few sellers understand that if you go and tag someone, if you don't solve for the solution and you see someone looking for help, if you know an expert, tag 2 or 3 in and say, would totally trust these people. Here's a few people I would recommend. Recommendations, that's referrals that come your way. That is like revenue in some way, shape, form that'll probably be passed, and relationships that are evolving right there because people go to you and say, thanks so much for thinking of me. It's like, cool. Poor people, like, there's something to be said for that, because the people who are in that top 20% of like, you're an expert in this, they have real relationships. They're like, I know a guy, I know a girl, right? It's like, you know the people who you want to know, and you're like, I want to be in on that. Cool. Become an expert at what you do. I don't care if it's being an SDR and you're learning how to drive inbound, they're being an outbound rep. You're doing so by creating demand because you're going where your buyers live. And you're like, let me have conversations as a human and like being a peer and creating this bridge of trust to get them over to my AE, instead of it being this, hey, do you have 27 seconds? Like, y'all, stop it. I am so done with that. Like, I cannot stand that with all my heart and soul. I don't care what anyone says. You can hate, people can hate me all they want for me saying that, but things change. Buyer's journey is not a buyer's journey. It's an experience now. So it's, everything is such an experience that you're having. If it's a shitty experience, they're not going to buy from you. They're going to someone else. No, they're saying, who else you got? Because I didn't like this. Then guess what? You're going to lose. You're going to have customer churn because that person's not going to stick with you because their friend didn't like you either. So it's relationships. But I didn't know that until like your epiphany, my epiphany after a little bit of time of being like, oh, it's people that matter. And I can also help them in ways if I don't really help in this realm. But also, oh, wait, let me back up though. Do not BS if you can, if you don't help in some realm and say that you can, please, for the love of all things holy, do not go and say you can help, because you are shooting yourself in the foot through and through. Because I have done this and I have said, yes, I can do this. And I could not do this. And so if anyone knows Nate Nasrallah, he is a brilliant human being. Nate was one of the first people I pitched RevOps services to. So I'm like going on and on. I'm rambling completely because I'm like, he's got this like kind of smile, just kind of like this sweet child. Look at this girl. Like, and I'm like, he goes, is it my turn? And I said, mm-hmm. And so he starts pitching me. He goes, so do you want to try again? And I was like, uh-huh. And so we ended up like closing this deal, whatever. I was like, this is amazing. But we became buddies just from that alone by me. And I'm not saying this works on anyone and everyone. This is very much so like read the room, read the individual and their need. But this was a cold kind of like, let's see if this makes sense. I think I can help. I could not really help with what I said. Like my rambling showed, I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I was just new into this RevOps world. Like, so I call it like Rosalind Santa Elena, who just joined the company I was with. And I'm like, she is one of the experts I know. Great. Let's get Rosalind and Nate talking. Cool. That sealed something massive because I knew when to bring in the right person. So it's like lean on other people but knowing who to lean on is so vital, because if you're getting vague feedback from people or people are acting like you are a nuisance or you are a problem in the workspace, you are in the wrong place. Like
1,000%. Like that's my biggest, I think, pet peeve, right? Because like I'm a very curious person, right? And in the military, I would ask my questions and it would get me in trouble. I'd have to do lots of push-ups and everything. But then, coming back home, it's like, okay, great. I'm back in the civilian sector. I can ask my questions. I'm going to be able to get help. And, the most frustrating thing was realizing that most people don't have anything to teach in sales, right? So instead they're either just like, just go do a lot, which is not enough for someone like me. Like I need more connective tissue.
Right.
Go
And
ahead.
people, I mean, you join in a role and say it's one that's
Yeah.
not, it's you're trying to move up the ladder, right? Like one, frontline management needs to change and shift altogether. Like that frontline, second line, like frontline management, I could go on and on and on and on for days with this one, because do not promote your reps based off of forecasted numbers, because salespeople, me being one of them, throughout the years, like we can lie with the best of them on what it is because we didn't work for 2 days and like that we did, and it's fine. So we're like, oh, I think this one will go through, and it's like I haven't talked to them in 3 months. I have no idea, but I need this to look good. Okay, so like
Yep.
if anyone's shaking their head listening to this thinking like, no, I would never, like bullshit. No, yes, you have. We all have at some point.
Well, let's be honest about it, right? Like some cultures actually want hope in the pipeline, right? Because those like kind of managers who don't really have connection to the work, they're not actually doing anything themselves. Their entire livelihood is on the ability that they can like print reports and talk, with some intelligence about the role. But I know people in sales teams who won't mark a deal as dead, even though it's dead.
Oh, it's been dead. Yeah.
It's been dead. Yeah. Like the whole thing is there on hope, right? It's never been qualified. It's never been a good deal. It's just there. And
Right. Or talk to that, like the decision maker, but they own that contact, right? It's like,
oh
well,
yeah, they do. It's so much more about like owning the contact and having something to point, and because I'm a very no nonsense salesperson, right? And I'm like, hey, if you don't have a follow up point, that thing's probably dead. Get it out of your pipeline so that way you're focused on like actual opportunities with momentum, because hope is not going to save you, kind of situation.
it's not a strategy.
And
It can't be your strategy.
it's not at all.
You lean on hope as a strategy, and you lean on what is not in reach, and like it, like if you as a salesperson know, like deep down you're like, this is not going anywhere, like you're probably going to get fired that next quarter, that next month.
Yeah.
Wow, everything does in some way. Like if you're getting by, like I don't know what to like. On you, one, two, a special place and where for you. Also, three, like you're doing yourself a disservice. So why would you sit there and do that to yourself? Because one, you're choosing to be mediocre. You're choosing not to grow. You're choosing not to be honest. And you're choosing to stay at a company that allows you to do that. Like, don't choose any of those if you want to be in that top 20% expert in what you do level. And I mean, when I was at a company before, it was you become a SDR leader based off of pipeline forecasted revenue and booked meetings. So however many booked meetings, could be pet salons, could be hair salons, could be who God knows what, like nothing to do with ICP, a farmer in Idaho. I don't know. And oh my gosh. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to be an AE at this company, and I'm going to do the minimum things that I like. I'm going to go bare minimum. I'm going to do exactly what I'm told I'm supposed to do, but I'm going to manage my time. Time management's not something that I'm my strong suit, but first step, what? Awareness. I'm aware of the fact that it's not. So like,
super important.
Of the fact that like, I'm not great with color coding my calendar. It's really pretty, but that means nothing. So I realized my like awareness of time management. I'm like, I have to be managed on like, this is what it's going to be. My day is going to consist of, I'm going to focus on community growth, where I'm going to go into these specific communities where I know buyers are living and talking. I'm going to join these conversations. And that's something that I will preach to this day of how to do that best, because it's where the most revenue has been driven in my whole career, is through Slack communities. And that's unorthodox. That's not normal. But I learned how to do things that people were not doing by being a peer to the buyer opposed to a seller. And the bridge of trust is all it is. But also how I failed miserably in doing that. Yeah. So like, it's also the fall. If you don't fall down, like I think about riding a bike. It's all about like, it's the bike scenario. It's like when you're riding a bike, if you don't fall and you get back up, then how do you know how to ride better? Like, how do you know, oh, I actually have to pedal like this? Like, okay, cool. Like I got to put my
Yeah.
kickstand up. Cool. Like whatever it is. That's
Yeah.
what my kid did the other day, actually. I'm like, okay, put the kickstand up, kiddo. Like, what are we doing? But things like that, little things. It's the little things too, and the big things of like, oh, this is not the street I want to go down on this bike that I'm riding. Like, you got to learn how to navigate, like where you're going
Yeah.
when you learn how to ride too. And once you know how to
Oh
ride,
my
you
gosh.
gotta like those like foundation. That's the foundation, right? So then it's
Yep.
the okay. Here's the rules of the road. Like also, don't go in front of cars. Like that's just something. Don't do it, right? Like that's how you
Yeah.
fight. Like don't do that. But also, if you can go and look at where there's a much prettier road that you want to go to, there's water. There's water right here. Whatever you want to go, ride your bike by the water. This side is like we don't want to go there. If you can
Hmm.
navigate how to get to the other side and do so seamlessly and be able to ride there and like it's profitable and it's way prettier on that side, do so. If it challenges what leadership says and they want you to stick to where it's not pretty, let's say your territory sucks, let's say that the leadership sucks, all the above, but there's fruition and there's a whole lot better of a view on the other side. I would challenge any salesperson to do the basics that you need to do, the things that they look at day in and day out to where you're not getting in trouble. Don't look at, I
Yep.
mean,
Got
whatever.
to do the inputs.
Go and do the extra little things that you can do by managing your time. So, like, go and manage your time by saying, here's my blocker of time where I'm going to go and ask the people that I've either sold to before or people who are ICP that maybe are within communities. Hey, does this resonate? I'm just trying to learn. Go to thought leaders
Hmm.
that are speaking to your ICP. Go look at who are advisors within your company and look at the top 10 and think, okay, did they speak to my ICP? Who was it? How, like Leslie Vanessa is a great example of someone who I've become super close with. When I was at Reggie AI, she was on our advisory board. And so I kind of activated the advisory board. And so I picked like the top 10, like these talk to ICP. She's great on TikTok. I don't even know how to do anything there by any stretch of the imagination. It's a very failed attempt every time, but she's done it so many. I mean, she's got a ton of followers. I'm like, great. She speaks to the ICP. Also, she can speak about the company, so she can be an external evangelist and spreading the good word. While also like she's got equity in the company. Cool. Like she's not like there's no
Yeah.
referral.
There's already trust. Yeah.
Like build the trust with the people who have a voice. But it's hard to navigate how to cross the street into this prettier view and like knowing there's fruition when people are saying no, no, no. There's blockers of leadership in the
Yep.
way, and there's people who don't know what the hell they're doing who are telling you no.
Oh my
That's
gosh. Yeah.
that's the part that really gets me.
Yeah. So, God, there's so much in there to talk about. I think the first thing I would like to kind of dive into, what have you been told, trained, coached, taught, whatever, that didn't work for you specifically? Has there been any bad mindset, bad stuff that maybe you tried, couldn't get behind, it didn't work for you, didn't wear well, it wasn't something that like actually worked for you? Do you have any of that advice that you might like stuff that sounds good but doesn't actually like lead you to where you want to go? Do you have anything like that?
This might like ruffle a few feathers, but like more dials, more dials, more dials. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, just like finding solace in volume and not thinking about quality. Yeah.
Right. And it was like the whole we need revenue yesterday. We can't play the long game right now. It's like, right, because
Hmm.
you've got the VC like pushing on you, like you have got people who are saying, like, where's our money kind of thing. And
Yeah.
that's not a seller's fault if you're not coaching and teaching them how to actually do their job or enabling
Yep.
them. So that's like tech enablement and people enablement. Like, why aren't
Mm.
those two different roles within a company? How do you enable people how to know how to actually sell well? That should just be a sales leader's job. But unfortunately, a lot of sales leaders are just promoted because of the sheer fact that one, maybe they're a bro and it's bro culture. I don't know. Or
Yep.
two, it's like they were one of the first few people there. It's just what happens. Three,
Yep.
they got promoted based off vanity metrics that don't matter at
Yep.
all. Like it's all in vain and it doesn't show when you look at the end numbers. Like you look at things and you're like, what is going on? But I generated this amount from not doing things in an orthodox way because
Mm-hmm.
orthodox isn't what works today. And the unorthodox things in my mind should just become the norm today of just being human.
Well, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, and I want to go back to this to make sure that anyone who's listening to this is paying attention to it. Before you go off and try to blaze your own path about finding your own way to revenue or finding some new way, you have got to be able to hit the metrics on the KPIs and the goals that you're being told, right? And if you're not getting any guidance there, then that's a whole other problem. But if anything, most people have a path of touches, right? That as long as you can kind of put your head down and keep working and to use a bad term, be a good soldier and everything else like this, you've got to fold into that routine of being able to do that work and show that work before you can be taken seriously when you show up and you say, hey, I have a kind of a crazy idea, right? Like, but if you're the person who's not hitting dials and touches and you're showing up with like, hey, you want to go on a crazy idea, you're just broadcasting to everyone that that you're the problem.
You're
right?
the you're T-Swift. I'm the problem. It's me. Yeah. Like you are T-Swifting
Yeah,
it totally. And it's like you're almost acting as though I'm holier than thou. I've got better ideas than what you're saying.
1,000%. Yeah,
The bad
absolutely. Right.
book, bad. Don't do that. Like you've got to fit into this. Like I hate this term too. You got to fit into the box if you want to get outside. Like if you want to gray
Mm-hmm.
out lines in this bold box that you're in based off your role, if you want to gray out a little bit here and there, you've got to stay in the box in order to kind of branch out a little. So like if you want to put your arm out, like
100%.
you want fluidity, then you need to stay in that box like until one of those walls can kind of break down a bit, then you can kind of verge this way. But until you
Yep.
can prove with documentation, this is what the means to the madness and the reason and the methodology behind why I'm
Yep.
saying this crazy idea makes sense. What are you doing? You're just literally proving you could go into a psych ward. We don't know. Like, we don't know. So
Yeah.
don't show up crazy. Come with something that's challenging the status quo of what they say to do. But if you
Yep.
don't have things that you can show you're doing today that fit in that box, and that also like you're outside of that box doing the things that are also moving things forward that are revenue generating,
Mm-hmm.
that's the whole thing. Revenue's revenue. So like
Revenue is revenue. Yeah.
generating, if they say no, then like they don't like money, right? Like remember that. But here's the thing: it's, without experience, how do you gain experience? So
Exactly. Right. I
like
mean,
that's a catch.
being willing to fail at a sample size that means that you've actually done the work is it. And I am one of these people who wants to sit and think and figure it out before I take any action and stuff like that, And so when I was younger and as a salesperson and not aware of myself, right, I would see these people taking massive action that didn't make any sense to me because it wasn't really leading consistently towards the outcomes that we were all going after, right? So it just felt like busy work, Sometimes you got to do some busy work so that way you can figure out how to do smart work and not just like have to do the busy work,
Totally.
You said something else earlier.
You
Go
just
ahead.
got to you've got to, I mean, even if it's a small task, like just try. And like if you don't have that within your company, there are people out there who are Kevin Dorsey told me one time, he was teaching a course within Pavilion and he said to me, he goes, Amelia, guess how many people reached out to me after I taught this course? And I said, I don't know, 100. He goes, 5. I said, no way. And he goes, 5 people reached out to me when they could actively see that I was still online and no one asked other than 5 people for further information or guidance or questions. Sheer curiosity to learn more. And I left a few things open-ended for that to happen. It didn't. And he goes, it was bizarre how few people like genuinely curious to really learn how to color outside the lines while staying in the box that you're supposed to be in, which I
100%.
think is a term, but still, it is what it is.
So zooming in on something you said a second ago, right? You were talking about how it's, you have to do the unique things that stand out and get viewed as a human and not just get the regular sales kind of response and everything. And then you said that, you know, you wish more people were looking for these kind of like outliers. Do you still think, or do you think that community is still an outlier for most companies? Like, do you see more people leaning into it now? Is it still this kind of like, well, why would we build a community, right? Like, how is that shifting for you in your conversations? Because I know you put a lot of focus on like community building, community like hanging out and like learning from people in the communities and stuff like that. Do you think that that's going to continue to swell and go in the direction that we're kind of seeing it currently?
I hope so. I think that it is. I think it should, because the community is human focused, right? Good communities. I mean, I've joined and left communities probably more than I've stayed a part of them, because you learn what's give, what's take. You learn that there's certain ones that are just like, I'm going to take anything I can get, like from these people. Like, then there's communities where you join that you're like, wow, this is actually serving me, and I'm able to help people within too. Like, I'm valued as something, and that goes back to the value and the worth. It's like, I'm worth something within here, and maybe that's a personal thing too, for me. But to feel as though what I'm doing is making an impact and I'm worth something within wherever I'm at. Like, my worth is not seen as something that can fall by the wayside. My value is not something to push away because it means something. But you, again, that's the like funnel focus of how do I help people best? Like, what do I do? Because you can't help everyone. Showing up saying I do this, which I have fallen down a million times doing, where people are like, but I don't know what you do. And that's still to this day. Like, I had a call with someone recently and they're like, I'm looking at your LinkedIn now and I don't understand who you are. And I'm like, thank you for saying that, because I need that kind of feedback. And if people didn't take things so damn personally, like, and you realize, hey, this is your day job, this is your job, this is your means to an end. Listen to people who, all advice can be heard, it doesn't have to be taken. So when you hear certain things from people that you are like, yes, I value what they say, take that to heart and like do what you feel is right. And so certain things, like, I took off my LinkedIn, like, just because they were like, I mean, because right now I am searching for like my next kind of landing spot as I do build, but finding great leadership with a great company is real hard to come by. And roles where it's not boxed in such a sense that like community is not like a focus. And also there's, activating like an advisory board, like I said, or co-selling through your partners is going to be something huge, like that people are not focusing in on enough. Partner alliances, that's where the big cash money comes in. Like, I want to learn a lot of those things. That goes into the how do you have experience? How do you get it without having it? So one, you takes a chance on you, they like you, or like you get lucky, or it's a no, do start from here, fit in the box, get in through the back door, the side door, wherever the FedEx dude drops the box off at, get in through that, then gray out the lines, right? So that's kind of where I'm looking at things now, and I'm like, maybe I go in through the back door, side door, whatever, through this box, and then you prove what you can do. But you got to do within the box first to show that you're valued enough to be able to. Because I mean, you look at people, I mean, like him or not, Elon like does not color inside any kind of lines. He creates his own probably crayon colors. I don't know. So it's where he doesn't follow rules, nor does he care. So it's like he's going to do what he wants when he wants, because also he has all the money in the world to do so. But take that away, I still believe he would not be someone who would follow rules. Um, Not everyone is Elon in this world. Not everyone at all is that, to where they feel that way. But if people thought a little bit more in the sense of, but what if? What if this could be something I can go and color outside the lines? What if I just do it a tiny bit and see what happens? Great, you get a slap on the wrist. So what? At the end of the day, it's HR giving you a slap on the wrist. You're not fired. You still got your day job. Don't go to an extreme without having the knowledge of what you're doing. Going back to your question of community, I think it should be more micro than macro. Should be the focus of, there's these large communities out there, right? And it's there's, different levels of what where you're at and different people that you can go talk to. There's also the communities that are like WhatsApp groups where it's like, where I've got that very much so muted because it's so noisy and drives me insane. But I know where certain people are at that I can go to talk to just directly. That's the dark social, if you will. Not the dark web. Let's not get it confused. So, knowing where to go, that's the EQ led approach, knowing how to color outside the lines by saying, let me do my day job. But I can also jump in a WhatsApp group and also message someone because it shows if they're online. Let me go in a community and see if they're there. But if I don't know where I'm going, I'm just doing everything and calling rogue a strategy too. Rogue being my promised land. And it's like, whoa, that's not a promised land you want to be sitting at. Like hope and rogue cannot be where your destination should lie. Like they can't, those aren't destinations. So what is the destination?
Absolutely.
That's the big question now.
Well, so I think that brings up like a very interesting conversation, right? Because you need a long enough leash so that way you can kind of have some room to kind of figure it out on your own. But like I think the hard part of that is people don't goal set very well. Yeah. Right. And so it's just easier to like, okay, you're going to come in, you got to make this many touches, this many dials, you got to follow this process and everything else like that. And I know people who like don't even really understand how their goals that they're being managed on, chased after and stuff like that. They don't even understand how those inputs, even like an SDR, how those inputs lead the entire company and organization to where they need to go. And I feel like to be given that room, you need a leader who's going to who's going to be able to kind of give you that kind of contextual information, right? Like, okay, here's where we need to go. Because otherwise, anything you try to do on your own is probably going to be viewed as like, well, that's not really the direction that we're going in, right? And they'll kind of move the goal lines on you sometimes, shift things around and everything. And so, then it kind of feels like it feels like anything you're doing is probably not going to lead you to where you need to be, right? Which is kind of crazy.
Well, so it is crazy. It is wild to think like if leaders aren't looking at the behaviors of how their reps are, like what is the behaviors that they are doing, like what are the actions that they're doing, it's like what are they doing as to either they're hitting or missing. So looking at the behaviors, like what is it, and then also it's like let's do an assessment of like how are you mentally, like are you okay, like people are people at the end of the day, they are not their title, like this, it's not an SDR manager's job per se in this big organization to be like, let's evaluate your health. People don't want, they're like, no, I'm great. Like nobody wants that. They're like,
I'm not talking to you about this. Yeah, like, absolutely.
Wait, we're in sales. We all talk. So, it's also really great leaders look at like the behaviors of what their reps are doing. And then if there's a rep who's like exceeding and then some, if they can't tell you what it is that's repeatable or a method behind what methodology that could be, put into play with each of these other reps, that's where you got to dig a little bit deeper. But there's no one telling these leaders how to dig. How do you dig? You don't dig with a fork, you dig with a shovel. So it's like, here, you don't know that, but you're like digging with a baby spoon. It's like, no. Like, how do you actually dig to the root to get there to understand, are you cheating the system? Because that's happening left and right. Or, are you taking people's opportunities? Like, what are you doing? Because you just outsmarted people. Yeah. Or is it like you're actually really good with the conversational side? You're really genuinely curious. Like you ask really awesome questions. So analyzing what it is that people do, then having even that rep teach other reps what it is that they're doing is huge. Companies aren't doing that. Like, I know. I don't know.
It's weird how, because I talk about building a culture of coachability on the sales team, right? And if you're bringing people on, getting them so wound up that they're like foaming at the mouth around the idea that they got to be at the top of the leaderboard because second place is the first loser, why would you then expect everyone to get together and share what is like working for them? Because you've built a culture to where that's kind of like putting them on a road to ruin, and it just doesn't get you to where you want to go, right? It's like, to me, all those people who were like, well, just be a sales savage and don't take no for an answer, right? And they're pushing that, and they're pushing that, and they're pushing that, and they're pushing that all the time. Oh, it like drives me crazy, because those are the same people who have these high churn rates, right? It's a revolving door on their sales team of all their people and everything. And they're like, man, why don't people stay? It's like, you're not making an environment that people want to stay in. Why are they going to come in here and slog for you? This doesn't make any sense,
No, no. Why are they going to
But
go exactly? And it's, I'll never forget a leader of the company I was with one time. A bunch of reps just joined because, guess the name of the game in this company was like growth equals more bodies. And so more bodies join, and it's like, okay, company-wide meeting. The leader says, jumps on, if you were not Googling the top 10 billionaires every morning when you wake up, it is time to see your way out. Like, you've got it. And I was like, whoa, wait a second. These are just got out of school, and they're like literally deer in headlights. So like,
yeah.
I'm so confused. Like, am I in the right place? Is this the right Zoom room? Is this like one of those I accidentally jumped in?
Yeah, and
I was floored, because I thought, this is not how you coach. This is not how you even from top management down. It was like,
agreed. Yeah.
These brand new reps, no, they're not there. They're not even thinking of that. They're like, cool, that guy's got cool shoes. Like, I want to get cool Nike kicks. Like, awesome. Let me go get thinking, they're like, what are they thinking about? Like, not being a top billionaire. Sure, there's the outliers that are like, I have my set goals. Far and few between. Do people know how to set goals? Well, and that's something I learned over time too, is that like, I was not setting goals well at all, because there were no goals. It was literally survival mode to get to
absolutely
where I needed to go. And so I think a lot of people are there too right now, of like, I'd love to know a statistic of like, are you happy in your job? Like, are you happy?
Ooh, that's but like, the hard part about a question like that is, are people going to be honest, right? So like, you put that poll up on LinkedIn, right? You're going to have some flawed, biased data that you're collecting with a poll like that, right? Because
they're scared that like, I'll take that data and be like, here are the people not happy. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely, for sure, right?
No.
And when you're in survival mode, right? Like, trying to keep the lights on, you're in a panic. You're not sure if you're on a path to success or not, because it's not as clean as anyone else ever wants to kind of lay it out for you. It's, you're going to do whatever it takes to like keep those lights on, right? And so I know lots of people who are still kind of going around with the idea that every top tier salesperson would rather be commission only, right? And so what that means is that any salesperson who like wants a base isn't a real salesperson, And I talk to founders all day long who are like, well, John, real salespeople will show up and do this for absolutely free. It's like, no, that's not how it works at all, right? And no one is going to come in and work as hard as you are. What'd you say?
No, who's saying that? Let's call them out. Who's saying that? Because
it's more small business, but like, it happens even in like some of these bigger teams, some of these bigger cultures that we see on LinkedIn that are getting a bunch of focus and everything, like that, I'm not going to go.
It is not their baby. Like, these sellers did not build the company. Yeah. It's not their baby. Like, they are not trying to keep the baby alive like the founder is. So they're
here for a job.
Yeah, you pay them like a babysitter, like that. How like baby, like basically like you're to keep your baby alive. They're babysitters in a sense, like that really discounts all people within a company 100%. It is true. It's like you gotta pay people. Like, people are working for free for fun. Like, you don't work for fun all the time. Like,
absolutely
is a weird way to put it, but it's like, are you satisfied with the role responsibilities that you have? Like, do they fulfill you in some way? Does a third of them fulfill you? Like, do you feel as though you're helping? Like, how are you best fulfilled? And are you in a role where you're literally like, I hate my life and this is everything?
Yes.
There's more people than not that I guarantee are thinking that, and there's more people than not that are scared of losing their job. I mean,
I was just terrified. Yeah.
I joined solely as a seller. A weekend, it was a respectfully, no, I will not learn a 16-page script in order to go talk to the bunch of people within my LinkedIn who I had previously sold to, who were thought leaders, who were, people that
Mhm.
are,
A
that
16-page script?
it was everything under the sun. So you had a script out and one
Oh.
pitch. And so I respectfully said no. And because I challenged, right? So I went to one of the founders who is, he sent me a message the other day, like, how are you? Cheering for you. Like, it's just this book that I gave. I sent me some stuff with some just good people. But
Mhm.
um, I learned more from him in a little over a year about sales being under a marketing umbrella from going to him and learning, like, I never had a process that was instilled in me ever.
Mhm.
And it was me trying to lead by EQ and then just follow back with, which got me to where I needed to go. But then it
Yeah.
was, if you want to play in the big leagues, like, you can't sit with in the minors, like in the dugout, because you only know so much, because you can't speak
Yeah.
that acumen, but you don't know, like, you sound like an idiot when you try to
Yeah.
talk to those who have been there, done that. And you're like, oh, well, da da da. And they look at you like Nate looked at me, like, my turn? Like, should I pitch you
Yep.
now? So it was very clear. I mean, he was like talking threes. He's like, give me 3 points. He's like, that's it. Then shut up. He's like, you don't need to say everything. And I'm like, but
Yep.
that is what I do and who I am. And he's like,
Mm.
right. So it was very much so I come to Jesus of, how do we work together in the sense of, how do I be me while also learning to learning to unlearn some of these bad habits that I created of
Ooh.
over.
Yeah. That's a process.
It's a process, and it's a shitty one, and it sucks and I hate it, but I had to do it and I still am doing it.
Yeah.
Because I do talk clearly. I'm a talker, but I'm a people person, and I'm like, yeah, let's talk about all the things. All the things don't need to be talked about.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
it was like funnel focus, Amelia. Like, so there's a book my girls read. Reese Witherspoon wrote it, and it's called Busy Betty. And she says
Mm.
in it, she says, focus to finish. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Ooh.
And that quote has stuck with me. I'm like, focus. So literally I have it in a post-it on my desk right now. Focus to finish. So I'm like, if I don't focus on what it is on this one stair that I'm on right now, I'm not going to get to the top of the staircase I'm trying to reach at one point. Those are your goals,
Yes.
right? It's like, you can have long-term goals, but like, you can't say I'm going to go from bottom to the top without having all these other goals in between, because you're failing. You're going to fall down, because
Yep.
I say it because I've done it far too many times. I bruises galore from falling
Same.
down the stadium staircase, 100%. Like, this staircase, like, all of them you fall down. So the goal setting is so huge. And then they're talking to Matt Millen is his name. I will just say he's great people through and through.
Nice.
Genuinely cares. And so
Should he come on the show?
he should.
Do you think he would come on the show?
Book so this is interesting. Backable is a book that he was like, you have got to read this. The surprising truth behind what makes people take a chance on you. Is why
I'm writing that down.
Yes. And so I was like, huh. And it's all about, like, no one makes it alone, and how, like, to actually get to where you want to go without knowing all the things and the key to success and how to get there. So it's like,
I love that.
I was like, good people. So I ended up being let go from Reggie, right? But there's still people inside of the company who are cheering for me and want me to be as successful as possible, because they saw who I was as a human being, not just as like Amelia's just, another body filling up the space. So that was one of the biggest things for me, is like being there, but also pitching to him as to why I was not going to be in sales was a whole nother thing. But he ended up taking a chance on me. And I learned more about myself than I ever have in any company.
So, jumping ahead a little bit, right? I think one of the most interesting things is when someone goes out fully on their own, right? And I had Tom Slow come on the show recently, right? He's a friend of yours as well, and he's out doing his own thing as well. And we had an amazing conversation about how, like, you can be good at sales. You can have a good network. You can have some community. You can have some people around you. You're still not ready for all the suck and all the whole new things that you're going to have to figure out under the sun of being a founder. And I'm curious, how does that show up for you? Do you have any tidbits or nuggets or tips about
It's,
how to shortcut some of that if you're going to go out completely on your own?
so the thing is that I learned real quickly is that people will look at, say, a follower count and think that you've got all this experience under the sun because people follow you. I don't know why people follow me half the time. I'm like, I do some of the dumbest posts sometimes. Maybe that's why, because it's not the norm. But it's like that does not, a follower count does not equal experience. So that's something that is so insane because I look at it and I'm like, no, like, because I've had a few like companies that I've talked to with me trying to say, okay, no, I want to grow horizontally with the right people. And just like, I want to grow this way, not up and to the right now. Like, I want to continue building this, but learning how to build it best by growing this way under a company with the right leaders who've been there, done that. So that's where I'm at now because I took steps forward in order to take steps back to learn I didn't know everything I was doing. Now, taking a few steps back again by saying, hold up, maybe I'm not ready. Also, maybe this time in my life is not the time for me to do so. And
That, yeah,
external
and
things,
like understanding your season is
yeah.
super important,
Oh my
for
gosh, I
sure.
love
And, you
it.
know, we have all these people on LinkedIn who were just like sharing the highlight reel and stuff like that. And like, not a whole lot of people are showing like the downside of it and stuff. And yeah, it's too easy to play the comparison game, and you're not even getting a fair view of the comparison because most of these people aren't sharing any of the downside of it, and like you're going to have some rough days. Tom and I were talking about like you're gonna have to maroon yourself almost to
Mhm.
cultivate the focus you need to get to where you want to go. And if you do that badly, you won't find any success at all. And
Right.
if you put yourself in too many of the wrong circles, you're not going to make any progress either, right? So you kind of have to be able to cultivate that focus and also put yourself in the right spots so that way you don't take bad advice that slows you down, or like the try hard medicine that some of these people are out here handing out to everybody. Have you found anything specific for you that like you've picked up so far that you're like, ooh, yeah, I tried that, didn't work,
Mhm.
or did this thing that everyone told me not to do and it was actually really successful?
A few, okay, so I asked too many people for advice. So that was rule number one, don't do. Do not go and ask just because they look and talk and quack, whatever, like a duck, whatever that dumb saying is, doesn't mean that they're, I don't know if that's the saying, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? But like, it that applies for like, just because someone can do a real great video for 30 seconds on some subject does not make them an expert. So, knowing who's an expert and who's not by having conversations, and then it's like there's a discernment piece to that too. It's like you know who really is like wants to help you, who reaches out to you out of nowhere. Like, hey, my friend, how are you? How are you doing? What's life like? Like Ravi, Reggie, like he talks like this, and I always want to talk like him. He's amazing. He is a storyteller through and through. He is like one of the most brilliant storytellers. He has an awesome podcast called The Influencer Communicator, something like that. I will share later. But you would love it because it is very much so people focused. It's how to storytell, it's how to like there's a story to be told. What's your story? How to actually put your story into action and like how do you position that like I'm going to own it, and then what do I do with it? Like you can write it, but like is this something I can do and actually leverage by being me and the best me I can be? And is this the career I want to take? Everything leads back to the story. But he's written a few things like I'll send you stuff, but I've learned a lot from him. And so when I was like from Seamless or from Seamless from there's not like from Seamless, that was me leaving, but from Reggie when I left, when I was like from Reggie, he was one of the first people I called, and I was supposed to jump on this podcast that morning, and I was like, I don't really know what's going on. And I'm like, kind of like halfway crying. And I'm like, he was like, oh, God, do you want advice? Do you want me to listen? And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, okay, like, you are off your rocker. And I was like, I don't know. I'm tired. I don't know. My kids are driving me nuts. And he's like, okay, too much, too much, too much. He's one of those I know through and through will genuinely like care about my well-being. And also, what if you do this, like, do you, if people ask you, do you want advice or do you want me to just listen, those are some people that you should probably keep in your corner when they give you sound and solid advice, and if they've been there, done that. Like, goes the same for sales leaders. If they've never sold a thing in their life, like, run for the hills. Those are not the leaders that you want, who just know how to preach and don't know how to act. Like, if they cannot perform the miracles, do not go to someone thinking they're God. They're not. They cannot do what you think
Yeah.
they can do. Like, they can't. So stop acting as though these leaders are holier than thou because they've never done it. Like, they have.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
when you do an interview too, it's like, hey, ask them what they've done in their career. That is not a bad thing to ask. It shows that you are
Not a
caring
bad.
yours to know that you're going to work for the right people. But
For sure. I love that line, right? Like, there,
yeah,
you got to be able to ask the questions, right? Because we're talking about this before we hit record. You don't know what you're getting into with these roles, right? Like, everyone is going to tell you that it's going to be easy. You're going to make $1 million, and everything else like this. And this kind of brings me to one of the questions. What does Amelia look for to indicate that it's a role worth pursuing and sweating for and figuring out, versus what are the red flags that indicate like it's not, like, there is no probability of success, it's not even worth trying, the opportunity cost isn't there for you?
one, I mean, talk to people who have been there and left. Understand as to why. Like, people are willing to talk, like, and not talk shit about things. It's like, hey, I'm just curious. Like, do you literally have 10 minutes? Gift them something. Like, literally send them $5 to Starbucks. Like, be kind to people who give you their time freely like that. Like, big believer in that. And even a handwritten note, I don't care. Do something. Just like, even to follow, like, I'm genuinely thankful for that. Like, that meant so much because then it just looks like you're a taker and you're not a giver. So, like, give where you can back, even if you feel as though you're just taking at the time. Then don't just rely on reviews, because that could be just burnt people that were in an organization who are like, I was fired and I shouldn't have been, and then I'm going to just go try to bury their name and put them in the grave. Like, can you rely on those? Sometimes, not always. But look at the leaders' pedigree, where they've been. Look how long they've been at specific organizations. Look what their titles were. If you see that it was like founding AE and now it's CEO, like, and they're 19 years old, there could be questions to ask. Like, as in there's a lot. As in, don't join there. That's what I gotta say. So, you know, vet the leaders of the company, because ultimately they're going to be the ones who are calling the shots. And then, if look at the VP level, look at the director level, because those are the ones being delegated to call shots too. So knowing who it is, like, who do you know that knows them? Go to those people, go through Sales Snap, whatever. Hey, I don't know this person personally, but if I get this role, I think I'm going to be working with them. Like, is this a good fit, knowing me, knowing them? Like, just casually ask. Human, like, don't be all weirdo about it. Just literally, would we work together? Would we play nicely together? Like, you don't want to go somewhere where you're butting heads and defending what you're doing more than being able to prove your like value there and showing with numbers. Like, defending your role sucks. And I've been there. I'm like, but I did this and this and this. And they're like, but we don't know what you're doing because we can't attribute it to this. And I'm like, and that's the hard thing with these new roles that are showing up. And it's like, that's how you get to box in. Get in the box, get in some way. If you want to be in a bigger organization, I think, or smaller, it's like, if they don't believe or see the value you could provide, if you are doing things in these grayed out kind of areas of like, there's not, a simplistic way of putting this exactly what I do. Because like, enterprise AE, cool, boom, 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 boom. These are the things that you do, and you know that. If you're a community builder and you are a social or racial, whatever, all these things, it's like, what do you do? I saw this video recently. This guy calls himself a strategist. He was like, I'm a business strategist. And someone was like, but what does that mean? He was like, oh, I do like the ideas. And someone's like, so you do the work? He's like, oh, no, just the ideas. And it was so funny because it was like, is this me? Like, and I was like, I don't want to be that girl, and I don't want to do the hands-on keyboard work. So it's like learning, like I said at the beginning, like who you aren't is, I see, more important than who you are. But if you don't figure it out by doing, like, you got to do to know. And someone told me one time, they were like, draw a big V on a sheet of paper right now. I was like, why? They were like, just do it. So I had to challenge, of course. So I'm like, no, tell me why. 3 reasons. So they're like, you're going to write down at the top of this, and they're like, make sure it's like whatever, line of paper. I'm like, cool, okay, fine. Well, I'll listen to you this time. So I write down, they're like, write down everything that you believe that you are the best at. And they were like, focus. So they were like, next line, eliminate something. And they were like, add, mingle some things together that make sense. Like maybe these 2 things. So it was like, whoa, it was a visual funneled focus of what I do. So that's how I came to the whole, I help companies drive revenue through relationships, because it was like revenue focused is where I'm at, but it's also relationship focused. It's like, that's where, and then helping is what I feel like I'm the most passionate about doing. Passion doesn't pay the bills, but like revenue.
Agreed. Yeah.
Sitting at the table with the people who pass revenue, partners or customers, whatever it may be, sit at that table. And that's where, the concept of that came from. But it's like, knowing who you sit with is the big thing. It's hard. It's not easy. They're easy. We won't be
not at all. Yeah. Like, yeah. I mean, this podcast wouldn't be needed if people like were coming locked and loaded with this stuff. Mm-hmm. So some rapid fires before I let you go, because I'm trying to do some standardization here so we get some tips and some nuggets out to people. What is a book, other than the one you talked about a second ago, which I appreciate, I'm going to go look up. What is a book that has helped you significantly on your path from the founder's perspective?
From the founder's perspective, interesting. Thinking in Bad's Annie Duke. So she was
great book, phenomenal book. Yeah.
I don't reread books a lot. Like this one's been a rereader for sure, because it's like,
it's great.
A little bit. So Thinking in Bad's Annie Duke for sure.
Interesting. I used to be a professional poker player. And so when that book hit the scene, a long time ago, I dismissed it because I thought I had an idea. I was making a bunch of assumptions about what the context of the book was about, and I was putting it off. And then someone challenged me on it. They're like, John, like, you like to read. And I'm like, yeah, no, I read a lot. I just already think I know what that book is about. And they were like, doesn't that seem a little bit weird? And I was like, okay. And then I went and listened to it, and because like Audible's a big thing for me. So I listened to that first. And then I dove into her other book, like the very next one, The Power of Quitting, I think is what it's called. Phenomenal books. Yeah, great books. And if, your decision-making process is not the same thing as being results-oriented, right? Mm-hmm. You can do everything right and not win the deal. You can do everything wrong and luck your way into a deal or a position. It doesn't necessarily mean that you got it. Sometimes luck and variance plays a bigger factor than people want to take into account. I love that.
You just summarized perfectly. Yes, exactly. Right there. That's why you should read it, people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a phenomenal book. I recommend it to everybody. Okay, so on the SDR side, is there a different book you would recommend if someone is trying to move into sales, or if they're in that SDR seat and they're struggling?
I'm looking at my books right now.
No worries. I appreciate the thoughtful answer.
Yeah, I would. I would recommend, well, there's one that's actually, I've read, it's not, it's like it's a little bit more advanced maybe. You ask, they answer.
Ooh, great book.
That one's a really great one. And then also, what is this called? What is this one? The human-centered communication.
Ooh, I'm writing that one down. Hold on a second. I love a good book recommendation. Human-centered communication. Appreciate that.
Great book. There's a ton of people that are within the book that are featured in it that we both know. So
I love that. Cool.
Yeah, we would like that one.
Next question. What is something unique or individual that Amelia does just to work on her craft, on her superpowers, right? On the greatness that makes Amelia Amelia. What do you do that's weird or unique?
Weird or unique? A lot of me is weird and out there. I I will purposefully take an idea that I see that someone else has pushed out there content wise. Big writer, like I
Mhm.
said, so like I'll write, and that's how I can kind of put my. If everything's up
Same.
in here, it is literally
It's
nobody
stuck.
wants to go be up here because it's like a literally we don't know what's going on. Um,
Yeah.
I say we like I'm like schizo, like literally like I don't know what.
If I tell everyone I would not have a job as a coach or a trainer if everyone had a really great journaling habit. You wouldn't need me at all, right? But until you define and create a journaling habit for yourself, you're not even aware of how the words you use when you talk to yourself are trapping you into these certain realities that you can't seem to get your way out of. Like
It's so
it's a
powerful.
superpower in and of itself.
Totally. I look back on things I wrote when I'm like ninth, 10th grade, and I'm like, whoa, that's profound. Or it's like, that's ridiculous. And it's like,
Yep.
okay, I can see the like this transitioning, these times in life that were like so pivotal that I didn't realize were
Mm-hmm.
pivotal. They were like epiphanies I had. They were just words I wrote down. And I like today will still remember those words. And those were powerful to me. And
Yeah.
the writing is like the creativity of like how I'm going to master my craft is like if I don't write it all down and then eliminate what shouldn't be there of like this isn't me and this is not who I want to become,
Mm-hmm.
then that's something that I know I'm not mastering my craft. Like I gotta get out of my head on paper, like pen to paper. Um,
I love that.
I will challenge people's posts, like not with them not knowing. People don't know, but I'll see
Yeah.
something. Like, maybe I agree, maybe I don't. But also, what if you thought about it this way? And so it's like
Absolutely.
let me go share something that's totally not what other people are talking about, or it's a random thought that I had, and it's like some lyrics in some song, and I'm like, how is this applicable to this? And it's like thought
Mm.
provoking. If I don't, I mean, my brain's going all the time. Thought provoking
Yeah.
things have got to happen. If I'm not producing them, I'm just seeking them. Like
Yep.
I don't know. I want to be able to be someone who's known that also provokes thought and a different way of viewing how the industry market is today.
I love that. Amelia, I want to thank you for coming on and just keeping it like just so face up, right? Because that's what the show is meant to be about. And I'm going after people who I know can come and bring this authentic, voice to, the struggles of these roles. And I really thank you for coming in and being just very open and honest. If Where should people go if they want to come hang out with you, if they want to learn more about what you're doing and what you're working on and kind of where you put your focus? Where's the best place for them to come seek you out?
Well, first, thank you for having me. I am honored and then some for sure. And I will make sure this goes to all of you people listening and then all of your parents and grandparents and all the above. But LinkedIn for sure. That's where I live and breathe the most. In Pavilion, I'm there a bunch within that community.
Mm,
Also, I'm trying to build my Instagram presence because I'm like, if LinkedIn dies tomorrow, I want to make sure that I also have another place where people are
for sure. Yeah.
making an impact. So Amelia A. Taylor, that's where you can find me there. So go connect there. I would love to be able to just learn from others who are doing the same.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.